We still have a few more things before we could get to the Shemoneh Esrei itself. So number one, it's all based, the Gemara and Bruches, Daf Lamed, Daf Lamed Aleph, the Sigis and the Gemara discusses the approach, how to daven. So now we'll start with which side, Mizrach, which side do we daven? It said in Shulchan Aruch Hesem Mitzvah Dalet, a person stands in Chitz L'Uretz, he should turn his face Keneged Eretz Yisrael. As we know, we all daven to Mizrach side, to Eretz Yisrael. V'yichavim gam Yerushalayim and the Migdash Lebeis Kodesh HaKadoshim. So from whichever side you are in the world, everybody's going to be facing the Kodesh HaKadoshim. We happen to be in Chitz L'Uretz, we face Mizrach. Others face to the other side. The Gemara says, Nimtzi kol Yisrael mechavnen es libam lemukem echad, to one place. All the Yidden daven to one place, based on psikim. That means, if all the Tefilos go to one place, and through that place it goes to Shamayim, that's the koyach hatfilah to do its job that you want it to do. The yeshiyas, the nuchumis, whatever it may be, has that koyach because it has the tefillas from entire Klal Yisrael going to one place, and from there goes to Shamayim. It's like a korban tzibah that we are makriv in the Beis HaMikdash in the name of Klal Yisrael. I shouldn't say the name. Klal Yisrael donates every Chodesh Uda, Chodesh Nisan for the Kabunis, the Korban Tzibah in the Beis HaMikdash, and that's the same way. This works the same way. It says in the Kaf HaChaim brings on the Pusik. It says in the Pusik in Parshas Devurim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, Alai Roish HaPisku. He wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael. When he went to that place, the high elevation, it wasn't Chitz L'Uretz. He saw Eretz Yisrael from far. And from there came down the Shefa, the Bruche in Eretz Yisrael. And even though we daven in Chitz L'Uretz, and we are in Chitz L'Uretz, but when we daven, all the Hashpuas Toivas that come down in Eretz Yisrael, and that's how it comes to us outside of Eretz Yisrael. But the original place it comes in Eretz Yisrael. So by us facing Eretz Yisrael, the Beis HaMikdash, we are zoiche that we are mamshech the shefa from there through our tefillos. And this tells us something so special. Mamish aduva hafla. The koyach of the amida of the Shemoneh Esrei that we have, when we have the kavuna, the right kavuna, our approach to Tefillah Shemoneh Esrei, davening in the same place that the entire Klal Yisrael davens all together. There's a few haluchos mentioned in this sermon. Again, the approach before we start Shemoneh Esrei. Another din is, person should visualize to be machaven as if his tefillah is entering in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, where nobody had a right to go to the Kodesh HaKadoshim throughout the year, only once a year, Yom Kippur, and only the Kohen Gadol. And this is where all our tefillahs enter when we daven every day, the three tefillahs, Shachas, Mincha, Ma'ariv. A third halacha, libo yechaven the ma'ala l'shamayim. Our hearts have to be also together with it to be machaven l'shamayim. And the Rambam says, Liboy punu lamalu ke'ili hi oimed b'shamayim, as if he is standing in Shamayim. And this, the way we visualize it, that has the koyach. That has the koyach that the tefillah should have more power. That means he is in Shamayim, and he's talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's how he's mizdabik em Hashem. The Neshama L'Kaim Amal speaking to the Shechina HaKadosh. The next thing. How we should stand by Shemoneh Esrei. And this is all based on the Chazal and the Shulchan Aruch, Torah B'Siyos of Shulchan Aruch. How we should stand, how our feet. These are Yeshalmi. Yeshalmi says, Kemaluchim or Kahanim. So it says in the Rikayach, before we talk about how we should stand by Shemoneh Esrei, we have to go back 3 steps before we start Shemoneh Esrei. And then we'll talk about how we finally stand by Shemoneh Esrei. It says in the Rikayach, quoted in the Ramud, when a person wants to daven, he should go back 3 steps and forward 3 steps. Based on 3 psikim in the Torah, it says, Vayagash Avruam, Vayagash I love Yidu 3 times, Vayagash Elayui, 3 times Vayagash, coming closer. So therefore, this is the remez that we have 3 steps. Also it says, Raglayim Regel Yeshudu, it says in the Rikayach, Raglayim is plural, is 2, Regel is 1, 3 steps. Not only that, it says Raglayim Regel Yeshudu, Yeshudu is begematria the same as Tefillah 515. So when you daven, when you daven, you have to make 3 steps.
So the 3 steps back on the stomach to do the 3 steps.
We will explain this.
Okay.
It's much more than that. Let's say a person is saying a yoitze sitting over here, but Shemoneh Esrei wants to daven by the wall, where it says, look, he's daven by the wall. So he's walking in a different place where he daven Kriya Shema. So, if he's walking forward 3 steps, is that enough? So we'll talk about that. So in Siman Tzadikai, the Ramud says, Yashomlim kishoim midlispal, when it's about to daven, yailech lefunov gilmul pesiyas, it says he should walk forward 3 steps, derech kirev v'hagusha l'duva shetzurich lasos. Kirev v'hagusha, he's coming close to the Shechina, coming close to Hashem. And mere notation, worthwhile to add this to this discussion. There's a Shabbat Leket when the Rishonim will mention the words that he says when we finish Shemoneh Esrei, and based on the finishing of Shemoneh Esrei, we'll rate the same thing related to the beginning of the Shemoneh Esrei. The Shabbat Leket says B'Shem Ga'onim. The reason why we take 3 steps when we finish Shemoneh Esrei, when a person stands in the Shemoneh Esrei, it's unbelievable, these words. He's standing literally in a mukim kudosh, mukim kedisha, in the Shechina above him. Now, when he finishes davening, you need to step 3 steps back in order to leave the mukim kedisha and stand mukim chol, not stand walk away. How could you walk away? Till now you are mukim kudosh, and now you're going to mukim chol. So you say oisa shulaim ben roimov, he asks shulaim alayni, you're taking shulaim. Why shulaim? Because until now we were in mukim kudosh, and we're coming back to the mukim chol. So it's understood. When we start Shemoneh Esrei, we should do the same thing. Same thing meaning, then we're taking 3 steps back to go to part from the Mukim Kudosh. Now we're going forward 3 steps to go to the Mukim Kudosh. This is where the 3 steps comes from before Shemoneh Esrei.
Why you do 3 steps forward again after Shemoneh Esrei? You take the 3 steps back when you're going to Chol. So why do you...
Chol, now he finished. Now he's going to stand where he usually stands. He's away from his table, away from his standard. Now he's going back to where he was standing. So this really shows the hevdel between during Shemoneh Esrei, before and after Shemoneh Esrei. And during Shemoneh Esrei, he was speaking to the Shechina, Mizdabek im Shechina, and now he's being misalik himself, he's removing himself from that place, going to the Mukim Chol. Now he could move back and continue davening. But the Shemoneh Esrei is a total different davening than the davening before and after. Because then he's standing b'mukim hashchina talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly. It says in Marzivitri. Marzivitri is a Talmud of Rasha. Step forward 3 steps. Shulosh psiyos lefunov v'la'achrov. Being the same pusik as before. Si minchu voy lefunov. When you daven for Hashem, si atzmechem kudam amay bidoyin lemelech. When you daven to Hashem, you should look like you're bringing a gift to the king, because you're going to face the king when you start davening Shemoneh Esrei. It says in the Rikayach, another piece of Rikayach, that the reason why we do 3 steps, because Moshe Rabbeinu, before he davened, he went in Gimel Mechitzos, forward, 3 Mechitzos, Choshech, Unam, Va'arufel, deeper and deeper. So that's why we take 3 steps before we start Shemoneh Esrei. The Ben Ish Chai says in Parshas V'Yishlach, if a person is standing, going to start Shemoneh Esrei in the same place where he's sitting in a place and he gets up and he starts Shemoneh Esrei, this is the first time we see exactly that you have to go back 3 steps. Not stand up and start Shemoneh Esrei. You have to go back 3 steps and go back to the place where you daven. If he's standing far away from the place where he is going to daven Shemoneh Esrei, he should go first to the place where he's going to daven Shemoneh Esrei. Now go backwards 3 steps. Because I've seen, when people go to the place, Shemoneh Esrei, they take 3 steps. No, that's not good enough. When you're standing there, go back 3 steps, and I go forward. Yesh sod bezeh. It's al pi kabula. Lachze la'choyrov shulosh psiyos, before you start davening, then you go forward. And al pi pshat, it's the 3 miln. It says in the Mefarshim, the 3 miln, they even step back by Har Sinai, and they were brought closer 3 miln to the Har Sinai. It comes also from there why we do 3 steps. The Kaf HaChaim brings another reason. By going back 3 steps and going forward the steps, you show Hachnua Lefnai Hashem. To show that he's not qualified to daven to Hashem Yisburach. It's only the Midas HaChesed that Hashem gave us permission to daven for him, in front of him. Without this, we wouldn't be able to come close to Hashem to daven for him, because it's it's fire. And what are we? Ufa rimu v'talayu. And we speak to Hashem by going back 3 steps and getting ready to go forward 3 steps. It's like an expression, yilbash. It puts on us, we dress a malbish of pachet v'ru'udu, of fear, that da lefnai mi'atu oimed. You should know in front of whom you are standing, and that's going to bring you to daven tefillah b'kavuna. Finally, in this Indian, Ruch HaShulchan brings what we said before. Ruch HaShulchan brings that there are those that write, when you stand on the place where you're dam shemenes, you don't have to go back in order to go forward. It's not so. Meine Milikaim. Kol duvish begdisha tzurach achuna v'hazmuna. Get up and down. You have to go back and head 3 steps. So now we're going to go to how we stand during Shemoneh Esrei.
So on the 3 steps, the shacharis, it would be like 3 Yisrael. You start the 3 steps back.
Your question is where we start going back 3 steps? I can't answer you now, because I would like to see inside exactly what it says. I didn't see anything on it yet. So I have to search. Whatever we mention here is everything based on, I don't remember where it's mentioned. I have to look into it to see where it's brought down. Exactly where to start going back. But Tefilos, like Hillel says, you should get up. You should stand up from there. But when to start going back, we'll discuss maybe another time. Kivin Raglayim, we'll talk now. It says in Shulchan Aruch in Sim Tzadik Hai, and it's brought down in Rishonim about, and we mentioned before, Yerushalmi, the Torah brings a Yerushalmi, how to stand when we daven Shemoneh Esrei. How the feet should be during Shemoneh Esrei. So, in particular, according to one day in Yerushalmi, it says that we should stand side by side. The Torah says, "V'yichavn raglov v'zeh eitzel zeh," as it says in Pusik, "V'raglayim regel yeshuru." To stand like Malach HaShuris, it brings the Yerushalmi, the Blaivi v'ripsamon. One says Kamalach HaShuris, one says Kekahanam. The Kaviyusha brings Ili Vili Divri Lekim Chaim. Tefillah is a mukim korban. Therefore, you could stand like Kahanim. What does it mean like Kahanim? Like Maluchim, it's standing side by side. Kahanim, when they go up the ramp, they go 1 foot. It's front to back. The reason why we stand like Maluchim side by side, the feet side by side. So when a person davens, you should visualize that Rashba says, as if his feet are tied. No one has the koyach to help him, and no one could hurt him. Zelusi bezes his burach, with the help of Hashem. I'm standing tied, and nobody could do any damage to me. The Beis Yosef brings from the Beni Agudel Maria Vyov, it's a remez. It was taken away from me the ability to run. I can't reach to anything, I could do nothing. I'm standing glued in one place, and I'm davening to Hashem, and that's it, there's nothing else there. Rashi says, Nerem keregel echot, standing the feet side by side looks like one. Another reason the Beis Yosef brings, Shekivin sha'oimid ledabe im hashchina, since he is standing ready to speak with the Shechina, Tzurich lisalik kol machshuvois hagif meliboy. You must remove all your thoughts from your heart and visualize as if you are a malach meshurais. Now you're a beginner's malach. With what are we a malach? In what way? Besides that we have the schis, the strong schis, that we are zoiche to speak to Hashem and to do the avodas Hashem like a malach, we have to put ourselves in a matzav that whatever we do, whatever we plan to do, and obviously whatever we did, which disturbs your machshuvah during davening, because he's having in mind all those things that disturb him, all that is gone. Not only gashmius, even rochnius. There's no responsibility on me now whatsoever. I don't have to be worried on anything. Mamish like a malach. A malach has no worries. He doesn't have what to worry. Not begashmius, not berochnius. The same way. As we mentioned already before, at the Divrei Chaim, when it came to Shemoneh Esrei, he forgot about everything, even about Torah, because there were other gedolim that couldn't control their minds of emptying Ashvei Rama in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. For him, he had to do tshiva on that, because once he emptied Ashvei Rama when he was younger, but when he became older, he had the ability, the koyach, to have full kavanah during Shemoneh Esrei and didn't have in mind anything but davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's kedai to see inside the words of the Torah about this issue. Sim Tzadik Ches. In Sim Tzadik Ches, the Torah brings all these dinim that we mentioned about kavunas hatfilah, how to stand, how to daven. After he does all this, miftach loy shetiskabel tefilusai. It's amazing. It's a haftucha that the Torah writes. Your tefillos will be answered. There's no ifs and buts. Amazing illusion. Shatfila hi b'mukim hakorban. This is what I bring out. Tefillah is a mukim hakorban. Nishal mepurim sifasayni. The words that we say, that's instead of the korban. Therefore, we have to be careful that we should act by Shemoneh Esrei, an example of a korban, which is not to have any machshuvah doing a korban. It's pigel. The person who bought the korban is not yoitza, it's posel the korban. You have to stand like you stand by the avodah, lamed l'shurais, serving in the Beis Hamikdash. Hashuis haraglaim kikahanim b'shas avodah, to stand like kahanim b'shas avodah. And he goes on to compare to kahanim, avodah, the Beis Hamikdash. And you do all this, they may be sure your tefillah will be answered. And the Bach explains it in more words. To see such words, and you have all this information, it's just amazing that the davening is a total different davening. It says in Aruch HaShulchan, the Torah brings a Yerushalmi, Kamalach HaShuris, into Kahanim. If a person cannot put his feet together, and some people don't have the ability to do that, they have some kind of pain or any other reason, is l'chol hapuchis. They should do something to put their feet together. They can't do it like this, do it like a hanem like that. But the Chadur writes And going back to Rosh Hashanah, if you can't do it like Meluchim, do it like Kahanim, as we saw before, Ili Vili Divri Kim Chayim. And he says, this is the Ikar Adin. First try like Meluchim, if it doesn't work, you could do it like Kahanim. But the Chadur writes, so it's somewhere, the Chadur writes that the Ikar is, the fingers should be together, even if the back is apart, to attach by the fingers. Even the back is not together. The Mishnah brings from the Pima Gudem, Afili Hiyoishiv Ba'agulu Makombukim Yecham Melaglov. Someone is sitting in a wagon and he's davening. It happens sometimes, it could happen. There's a solution of stopping the car and davening outside, but he can't stop the car. He must daven inside. And he's not the driver, because otherwise, if you're the driver, you're doing something in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. So even if you're sitting and you can't stand, then you should put your feet together, even sitting. That's how important it is. Yes. It doesn't mention that, but it's the same thing. The feet go back and go forward. You won't be able to make 3 steps as much as you can. Make 3 smaller steps. A few more issues I want to discuss today. Number 1, the 18 Beruchos in Shemoneh Esrei. Why 18? Because from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Anshe Knesset Agdola, everybody davened, but in their own words, and they put together their own words in the Tefillah. That's how they davened to Hashem. When the Anshe Knesset Agdola came, they were the ones who set the Nisach HaTefillah, and to this day we all daven the same Tefillah. That's number 1. And the next one will be about chuckling during davening. And the next discussion would be about davening quiet. How quiet do we have to daven? And then, is it better to have the eyes closed or davening in a siddur? So let's take one by one. The Yitches. The Gemara says, Reb Yochanan, V'omelo b'masnita tunem learned a braise, Maya ve'esrim zekainim, 120 zekainim, and from the 120 zekainim there were many neviim that were masakin shmoyne esa bruches ala saida. The Messiah brings a Shabbat Leket, Shoinim. Ala saida, what does ala saida mean? Ala saida means that from the time of Avram Avini, Yekazdim, Menachashude said Mugan Avruam. By Yitzchak Badakaida they said Mechayim Maisim. When Yaakov came and he was Puga B'Shai Rachmim V'Hikdish Shmoy Shalakdos Baruch Hu. That's how I go through the whole Shemoneh Esrei, starting from Avram Avini and on. They're already Mesakin the 18 Bruchos of Shemoneh Esrei. So it didn't start then, but they were Mesada the Bruchos, the Nisach HaBrucha, not only the Brucha itself. The Gemara says, Bruchos Daf Chuf Ches, Hana Shemoneh Esrei keneged mi. Keneged, what's the 18 Bruchos? Why 18? Reb Hil bereit der Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani keneged Shmoyne Asuru Azukurois. It's mentioned 18 times the word Hashem in the capital Tilim, Huvi Lashem B'nai. And we say Friday night, Huvi Lashem, 18 times. And Huvi Lashem B'nai, the Gemara says also, Huvi Lashem is Uvois. So all the bruchos of the Shemoneh Esrei is also, each Huvi Lashem that's mentioned in that capital is also the resemblance of the Shemoneh Esrei that we have, comes from there. It's also mentioned that Gemara of Yosef Omer Keneged Shemoneh Esrei Az Kuresh B'Kriyas Shema. 18 times Hashem in Kriyas Shema. That's why we have 18 bruchos in Shemoneh Esrei. Another Ma'amar Chazal there, Keneged Shemoneh Esrei Chilyois Shebeshedra. We have 18 chilyos in the shedra, in the spine.
makes it more difficult to understand why the 19th bracha was added. I'm saying they needed the Malshinas, but there's so many reasons to keep it at 18.
Okay, I'm going to answer that now. It says in Yishalmi, the Pchaninem B'Shem the Pinchas Keneged Shmoine Esa Pum says 18 times the Uvis Hakdoishen in the Torah, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Im Yoim Melach Udam Yiteshaim is 19. Amoyloi, tell him, V'hina Hashem Nitzavulov. Less he min hoin. Im Yoim Melach Udam, there's 7 Shivusaim. Tell him, V'yikura Behem Shmi B'Shaim Avois on Mitzav Yaakov is also from the account. So they add a few more that add another one in this pasuk, that pasuk, it should stem with 19. 19, the 9th book came much later than what the book says. Shmuel. Another Yishalmi, the 18 Tzevian commanding that Hashem commanded us in the second Mishkan. The Bani Bachai says, from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Anshe Knesset Sagdoyle, the Tefillah B'Yisrael was not in order, B'tik and Shuvah L'Kilam, for everybody the same. Kol echad mispal, Roisa Malitz Al Atzmai. Everybody davened in his own way, his own Chachma, his own Yediyah. Until the Anshe Knesset Sagdoyle came, they were Masak in the Tefillah Shemini Esrei. It should be Mesideh Kif Yaakov. I saw in the Uruch HaShulchan, he wrote a Sefer Baruch Shoma. He has a piece on this. He said, why is it called Shemini Esrei? Because of the 18 brachas. And Shabbos, it's a mistake, he says. There's no 18 brachas on Shabbos. Only 7 brachas. Why do you call it Shemini Esrei?
Well, Mike, until the Anshe Knesset Sagdoyle, no one got into dominion. It was still in the
They had karbunas. And it says, Yisrael ben Mamudam, Kahanim, Babaydusam, Nevi'im b'dechunam, Yisrael ben Mamudam. There was a group of Yidden Shlichim from Klal Yisrael, and they davened the Beis HaKnesses next to the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim.
The Yid who lived in Assyria or something, there was no meaning in Assyria.
Possible. Yeah. And once they were masakin the Anshe Knesset Sagdoyle, the Shemini Esrei, it didn't make a difference who that person was and is. All have the same Nisach HaTfilah, the 18 brachas. Pnai Yeshia says in Bruchas Av Chuf Ches, Kol bruchis hatfilois miyesudem al adnai pause. All the bruchis were miyisid on adnai pause b'mispa hatayvis v'oisias. The how many letters and how many words, everything is full cheshbon, as we see in Torah, and all these samunim gives us numbers, how many words is in each brucha. Mavad ma sheyesh behem sod mifle. This is only to understand, but there is so much more information al pi kabula. Mispe type the number of words, oisius. Shechoin lasis roishon a manner that does a roishon, a mark, an impression, a manner in Shemayim. So when we say the Shemini Esrei, it's not plain the words that we say. In Shemayim, it's so much more. It's accepted in such a more higher level than we can imagine. We just have a mind, listen, that's enough. But it's accepted in a much higher level because our pisoidis, there's much more to these words that the Anshe Knesset and the Nevi'im that made these tefillahs. It's brought down in Sefer the Mesech Eliezer from the Kamarna. Chitz mezeh, that a person needs to be mechaven, the kvod Shechina HaKdoisha, where he's standing in front of the Shechina, he also has to say the words clearly. Lachtoy cha'oisis, every letter should be accounted for. It comes out, sheyotzem mepihem hakodesh lo yechsem mikol hatefillah. Shouldn't be missing from any tefillah, even one nikida. Kolshken ois achas, kal v'choim metayva achas, a word. Ki hamaluchim that need to be makabel the tefillas. Ainu minidin shiyeh chas v'shulim tefillus v'chusa. You don't want it to be a missing tefillah. Just like kabunis, it says, Mchisa achas mikol samaneu chayev. So by tefillah, when you're davening Shemoneh Esrei, it's the same. It's like kabunis. You don't want a letter should be missing from the tefillah. You have to be very careful that it should be complete. That's part of we mentioned last week, Mama from Lemaya and Shoshuna. Because this person davened a tefillah shleim and he didn't. So he was answered. He became healthy. It's all tefillah shleim. Rashi says, bekavuna. So, but if he doesn't say the full letter, the full word, it's not that word. He's not saying the proper tefillah. If he says the word and he has the kavuna of Perish Amilis, then that's the kavuna. It says in the Ramah, in Siman Memches, the name of the Avdram. Nahagya Megdagdikim, the minig is, the Megdagdikim are careful, Les Noinaya Bishu Shakorim Betoida. Digmis Hatoida Shanitna Bereses. They shackle when they learn. V'chaim B'shas Shemispaldim. When they daven, they shackle. It says, Kolotz Moisei Tamanu. Not only the mouth should daven, every bone should daven. Kolotz Moisei Tamanu. Hashem Mikamoichum. It also says in Sefer Chasidim, Tzurich L'naya Kol Gifoi B'shas HaTfilah. The body should shackle during davening. Kolotz Moisei Tamanu. The movie Shumish says, when a person davens with a bren, it's impossible not to make a tniya, a move, during davening. Kediyim bezoyra kudish. When a yid shemaya boy kidishusoy nishmusoy, al kochoy efshel lamoid al amidoy al amudoy bitfelusa. It's impossible to stand in one place by davening. One place, impossible not to move. When a naya atzma, he shackles like the candle. When it's burning, it's flickering. The same thing as a neshama. So it's efshel udam she mispal bidvaike she ispal beloy taniya without moving. That limb that he moves, that aiva is revealed yoisa more kedisha of his neshama. And he shows in which place he is ba'olam mishol yoinam, in the upper worlds. There's a Sefer Mava Yabik. It's on the after 120. So he brings from the Zohar, calls Mansha Tzumois. He brings that it's good for the gif after 120, when a person shackles by davening when he's alive, and has an impact even later too. But it says from the Ramah Pana, from the Psikim of Chana, which the Gemara in Bruchas learns the dinim of Tefillah, we see It says, Hilchasa gewirte letfille. We learn quite a few dinim from Chana and Sefer Shmuel. Shurui lenoyach b'shas hatfille. You have to be relaxed when you daven. Because Bachana it says, Rak sefuseyu nois. Only her lips were moving. You didn't hear an order from her mouth, and only her lips were moving. So it seems that only her lips were moving. She wasn't chuckling. Tasbiris, ve'elilem, praise Hashem, over there. Hashem yichamoichu. But not b'shas u'menesra. The Shluach Kodesh says, it's the opposite. Shluach Kodesh says, a person who chuckles by davening, it causes bittul kavuna, can have the proper kavuna.
It's not a riot from Chana about not chuckling because it could be al sneer. So the fact is, she was in a place that Ailey could see her and think that she was drunk. So maybe al sneer wasn't to be moving and better just to be still. I'm saying I wouldn't necessarily bring a riot from the Ma'aseh from Chana that a person should not chuckle.
Well, you could chuckle schwach. You still be bitsnias. It doesn't have to be strong. We'll soon see a yavitz about chuckling is strong. Everything has its limits. The Mon Avrom brings this in Ma'abapana, in Sim Memches, that Simon, where I quoted the Ramud, and he adds, the Maril, the father of the Menhuga Ashkenaz, writes that when he davened, he did chuckle, Yafun of al-Achraf, front and back. And the Akamoisha, the Ramud brings from Menachem Rekanti. When the Mavrom quotes this, he gives a reason derech Kabula, yes, to chuckle by tefillah. And Mavrom concludes, David Kamarovid, whichever way you do is fine, but that should have kavuna liba l'shamayim. The Pnei Yehudim says there, Hakal fi ma'aseh Yehudam. Every person is different. If a person has better kavuna when he is standing still and not chuckling, fine. Otherwise, if he has better kavuna chuckling, then he should chuckle. But l'maisa, it depends how a person grew up, what the minig is in their families and their kehillas. But even with all this, the Chador says even the chuckling should be banachas. It shouldn't be strong, wild. The Yavit says, Adain tzurech l'moidi lahadiyah. After, in other words, he wants to give a haidua to notify. In other words, everything within limits. It shouldn't be overdone. Okay, davening closed eyes or davening in a siddur? The Zohar Kodesh, it says, Tzurich l'chasos, he cover his head, the respect, and he's standing in front of a king. Eyes should be closed. You shouldn't look at the Shechina, which is standing right in front of him. The Sodeh Shoyesh Avodah, after quoting this Zohar Kodesh, How is it possible a person shouldn't be careful when he sees the Moira Hagudl Hazeh? Hashem is standing in front of you. The Shekhinah is there. How could you look? How can't your heart be inflamed, engulfed, to be careful to keep your eyes closed?
When you cover your head, you mean collars and chakras, like wearing a hat and smile?
Wearing a hat is another halacha in Shulchan Aruch.
So what does that mean by covering your head? Just with the collar?
The Hariya Kodesh covered his head. My father used to have the talis over his head completely. Who steht in the Hariya Kodesh? The Chassis Roishoi. Boy lachafye raishai. Command the kuim kame malke is a Lushan Hazaya.
Actually, people would walk around with a towel and fill them the whole day anyway, so they had a towel to cover.
This is doing the Shemoneh Esrei.
Right, but yes, when I live in tomorrow also, we don't have a towel.
Okay, so when you have a talis, could be you should have a hat on, rice Shmei from day. Kolshkin, so the Shoy Shvoide says, when a person davens in a siddur, ein tzurich lezuah shlo yistakel achitzu. Eich tzurich lezuah shlo yistakel achitzu. How careful you should be not to look outside. Outside of the siddur. No, because the Shekhinah is in front of you. How could you look at the Shekhinah?
So even if you buy a wall, it wouldn't mean it's not going
It's either the eyes are closed, or he's looking in the siddur, and soon we'll see when he says the word Hashem to look up. That you could do. Exactly. Not to take his eyes off the siddur. The Hariya Kodesh by Psike de Zimne and Birchis Kriya Shema he davened in a siddur. Shemoneh Esrei he davened with closed eyes. Even by the Chazoris Hashatz, his eyes was also closed. The Shara Chiva brings, this is all in Simon Tzaddikai, if you daven in a siddur and your eyes are open, then it's fine. Chaim Mashma Lushan Hazoya, he says, that if you look inside, it's fine. Pela Yoyitz brings, Matoy v'manuim. You should say all the tefillos, all the bruchos in a siddur that helps to have proper kavuna. His eyes shouldn't look here and there, and he says it's a shand if a person does it, and with this you could tell if the person, if he is a bor or yarai chet, the Yerushalayim. The Vilna Gaon also says that it's a skilla to be saved from Machshuva Zuris when you daven, when you look in the siddur, and you daven from the siddur. The Chofetz Chaim, when he gives eitzes of davening b'kavuna, the first thing he writes is davening in a siddur. The Maral, the Prague says, Oy merani, those who conduct themselves to daven in a siddur, their tefillis is much better. Vain doime, you can't compare a person who davens bal peh, person who davens in a siddur, can have proper kavuna. The Chadur writes, every person should see where and how he does it better, by heart, closed eyes, or in a siddur. Everybody is different. Ben Ish Chai writes in Parshas Yisroi, if he must open his eyes, because for whatever reason that he must open his eyes, stop davening, that's why he goes. Stop davening and look. And immediately close your eyes and go back to davening. Even though it's better to daven with closed eyes, but if he knows for himself that he has better kavuna davening in a siddur than davening from a siddur. But be careful not to look outside from this siddur even a kolshi, even a drop. And be careful when you bow to close your eyes, even though the Siddur is in front of you.
This is Ben Ish Chai.
Ben Ish Chai, in Parshas Yisroi, the first Chaylik. But the davening from the beginning, from the Parshas HaKaida until the Shemoneh Esrei, Vade definitely better to daven in a Siddur, Ba'avir HaKavuna, and not to leave out words. I'll conclude with this. The Chotke Rebbe said this Maisa. A person once came to the Motlam Chernobyl. He had a list of avodas that he did. It seems he didn't leave out no avodah in the Torah. It was Makayim, every avodah in the Torah. And the Chernobyl told him that I can't help you because I'm too old. Rather go to the Rizhana. He's young. He'll be able to give you a tshiva. He wants a tshiva. Came to the Heilige Rizhana, and he's reading his list of avodas he did, and he told him two things. One of the two things he told him, from now on, we should daven in a siddur, Asher Yutza in a siddur, any brucha in a siddur. That's what he told him. That was one of the two things he told him. Daven in a siddur. Says the Chotkiver, I saw this man years later. He was one of the Bana Madreges who took Fitlach. He grew in Madrege, in Kedisha. He did a proper tshiva. He accepted the tshiva, what the religion had told him. The first thing was to daven in a siddur.